Right. Okay. So we have completed the first part of electronic training and its components in the previous session, and the left out part of the portion, that is intelligent tutoring system, virtual reality, electronic training and delivery systems. LMS we have already done in the past. ET design and development and converting traditional programs to ET. This is what we are going to cover. So let's begin from where we left. So as you can see from this slide, intelligent tutoring systems and virtual reality are, one intelligent tutoring system is nothing but a refined and more advanced version of programmed instruction. So if you have to talk about ITS, PI is a part of that. It is embedded into it. And it has more features than the programmed instruction. And virtual reality, of course, is an entirely different way of delivering the training. So we will go through both of them. As I mentioned to you, the virtual reality is PI plus. Which is this plus? It uses artificial intelligence to assess the tutoring or coaching of a trainee. Now, how is it going to do? The ITS makes assessment of the responses from the trainee, and then it can make an estimate of where the trainee is, and then modify its instruction system to suit the trainee's needs. So if the trainee is able to answer certain questions in so let's say a little tougher questions, then the system can go for a little more advanced instruction and take the trainee forward. If the trainee is unable to answer certain level of questions, then the AI of that particular ITS gets activated and provides some coaching or a tutoring service to the trainee so that the trainee can cope with that. To that extent, I think the ITS actually makes a customized approach to trainees' requirements, and therefore the trainee is more at ease to learn. So what are the components of ITS? I mean, to deliver this kind of training, what is that the architecture should have? First of all, the training system should have some expert knowledge base, or which is produced by the subject matter experts. SMEs develop the content for the ITS. Then there is a training model. There's a training model which stores information about trainees' performance during the training and keeps track of what's happening with the training. So this is precisely what it does. It is more or less equivalent to a physical tutor keeping an eye on the trainee and providing the way forward based on how he or she is able to progress. Then there's a session manager, which is the third component of the ITS, which actually makes an assessment of how the trainee is going through, and then based on the navigation of the trainee, it can make modification from one trainee to the other and provide customized inputs in terms of what additional material is required, what additional questioning is required, what additional quizzes are required, whether he has to go back to the loop and again join the loop again. All those things decisions will be made by the system. Then the training scenario generator it determines the order, the level of difficulty of the problem that is to be presented to the trainee, which is something similar to what you see in some of the competitive examinations, depending on the level of the kind of responses a student gives in certain competitive exams like GMAT or CAT. The next level of question will be decided based on your previous answer. Same way here, the system decides what kind of training input should be given based on the response to the training. And all that requires some kind of a user interface, which is basically the equipment allows the trainee to interact with the intelligent tutoring system. Therefore, you need a desktop or a laptop, a mouse, and a keyboard and your joystick, whatever the hardware that is required. So it is effectively a PI plus artificial intelligence enabled training system, which has got a good amount of driven expert generated content, and the trainee can actually access the material and proceed with the learning part of it based on how he or she is able to absorb the training material, and it also can customize to the needs of the trainee. What are the features of the ITS? It generates instruction that matches the individual trainee's needs. I think that is a very, very unique feature of this. Even in a face-to-face instruction in a class of certain n number of students, we will not be able to do this, which the ITS can do. So in that sense, ITS is a superior form of delivering the training to the trainee. It communicates and responds to the trainee question. Therefore, there's an interaction, there's an engagement, and that goes into the design of the ITS. So it also means that the person who is actually providing the knowledge content should also be able to have the understanding of the instructional design and see how the engagement is being done. So it models the trainees' learning processes, and it determines what information should follow based on the previous trainees' responses. It determines the trainees' level of understanding of the topic. So there is a continuous feedback system which works. It makes an assessment, and then the response from the system is in line with the responses from the trainee. So it has the ability to improve strategies for teaching the trainee on the basis of the trainee's responses. As you become sharper, or the trainee becomes sharper, the system also gives him higher level of challenge in terms of the learning. So what are the advances in ITS? I think this is something which is very, very important. And when it happens, as and when it happens, it's going to be amazing. And I know right now some research is going on. Apparently in Hyderabad itself, there are some agencies which are working where the camera can actually make an assessment of the mood of the trainee. In fact, there are now systems available, powerful cameras available, which are installed in the classrooms while the classroom instructor is going on teaching in the class. The camera captures the moods of the students, and then the feedback comes to the instructor how the mood is, and based on that, the a trainee's mood, the trainer can actually change or customize his methods.
Sir, just to understand, sorry to disturb you. This
Yeah.
concept is a very unique concept, but however, if there are some around say 40 participants, then
Yeah.
how will the camera take it? Will take an average of the.
Oh, well, actually, how exactly it operates, we have yet to go through the demonstration. I recently happened to visit sort of exhibition in Bangalore, which is related to education. And there I had seen a vendor selling or marketing his cameras. Apparently, the cost of the camera is 1,50,000 rupees, one camera.
Okay, one
And
camera
then
only.
one camera is 1,50,000 rupees. And of course, not only the camera, you have to also buy the software related to that.
Software will also. Okay.
And this camera actually can see more than 100 people at a time. It can actually focus on more than 100 people at a time. And from each of these participants in the class, it has the algorithm at the back end has the ability to analyze and give out reports in terms of what their moods are, whether they're bored, they're looking confused, they're looking disinterested, how
That
many
will
are
be
asleep.
awesome. Matlab, for 100 people together at one time is a great innovation.
Yeah. I think this is it's a continuing work for them. This company is apparently located in Hyderabad, and we are yet to, I am yet to have a meeting with them in our university. But I think this is going to be awesome. And if it happens with our own laptops and desktops, where each individual is sitting at different location and he is going through that program, the content is being instructed to him, and that his own camera captures the moods of the person and gives a feedback to the instructor. Then it's a valuable input in terms of how to modify the content, how to modify the methodology. Now in marketing, I can tell you this is happening in marketing also. A lot of top end companies are doing this research. They are installing cameras in the stores. When you go to buy some, let's say, the biscuits or soaps or shampoos or whatever, the camera keeps tracking your eye movement. And then depending on how many seconds you are looking at a particular band before you pick up a particular product, it makes an analysis and gives feedback at the back end as to what is the customer behavior. So
Sir, is it available in supermarkets? I've seen one in Hyper City in Mumbai.
yes, ma'am, it is there. People are actually pursuing this kind of a research. They don't disclose it. Of course, the disclosure is something which is ethical or unethical. That is not in public discourse. But a lot of consumer behavior research is happening on this. So
Thank you so much for sharing light on this, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, if you can share the details about the project you just mentioned, which is in Hyderabad.
Yep. Okay, I think let me go through the demo once, ma'am. It's a pretty expensive one. What they told me in the exhibition was that it is ₹1,50,000 camera cost, and you also have to buy the software. And what is the other hardware required, we really do not know. But that appears to be a very, very interesting project which they are doing. And if it happens, it is good for the instructor as well as for the trainees. We can improve a lot of things in terms of what is actually getting the attention of the students and what is not getting the attention of students. And at a time, how many are getting interested and how many are not getting. A lot of analytics can be done based on their mood in the class. And that's
Yes,
very, very research that is happening. And if it happens, that also has a lot of implications for the ITS in training. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Michael.
So too early to ask, but how accurate is it in a group of 100 people?
Well, wow, this is exactly what I asked them, and they said it is 95% accurate.
Wow, really great, sir. 95 makes our job very easy.
Yeah, they did not say 100%. They said 95% the confidence we can say we capture the correct modes. So which is very promising. Even if they are over promising, even if it is 75%, still it is pretty good.
Anything above 60 is always we can buy.
Yeah. Okay. So that is one. The second one, I think, is the intelligent tutoring system based on the level of answering and the speed of answering can also make an assessment of what is the self-efficacy of the trainee. And then if you know the self-efficacy of the trainee, that can also lead to probably through some algorithm, one can also customize the methodology of instruction to a particular trainee. So what we are talking about is each individual will get what he or she needs and the way he or she needs. Therefore, the learning can be more effective. That's what is about the intelligent tutoring systems. And we are certainly going in for a huge amount of revolutionary changes in the way the training is imparted. As of now, I think close to 50% of the training, plus 50+% of the training is being given online these days. It may go up in the near future, in the next 2-3 years, which means most of us will have to use these intelligent tutoring systems, technology-enabled training programs for our trainees in the next 2 to 3 years. So it is better that, although there is one section of the people who feel that, this face-to-face training, there is no substitute to it. But certainly, one can always look at optimizing between face-to-face plus the online together. So what is the right combination and how much should be each one? It's a matter of choice, but both are going to coexist. Yes, Mr. Michael.
So probably this will solve one of my major issue is whenever I do a training program, at the end of the training program, I take a feedback. I get 100% wow feedback, but I actually know it's not 100%. Now, if this system comes in place, probably I'll get near to 95% accuracy on the feedback without involving the students in that.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, most of the feedback that you get in any training program is generally it's like that, because of various factors that we will not discuss now. But then, if a system like this comes, there may be a lot of resistance too. If people who are getting very low feedback in this system may not prefer this. There are people
Yeah.
who manipulate the feedback and try to survive in the corporations. But for such people, this may not be welcome.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right. So that's where we leave it. And then we move on to virtual reality. I think all of you must be aware of virtual reality. Is there anyone who is using virtual reality in your training programs? Anyone who uses? Or anyone who thinks that virtual reality can be used in their context? And can you share the context in which you think VR can be used?
I actually used, my architecture used a VR to show me the entire plan of my house. That was like a virtual walkthrough. It was really good. So I exactly know how the house is going to be at the end product.
Okay.
And
But
when you
however,
buy, sorry. Yeah.
I haven't used it. I haven't used it in my training as well.
Okay.
So we have
Right.
used, in our organization, virtual reality is used in the website. Actually, you can,
Okay.
open that virtual reality and see that how that product looks in your house, in a particular wall, wherever you want it. You can just, turn the camera to that wall, and virtually it will show that how that product is, in your house. We have that in our website.
Okay.
More related to interior designing as such as.
Yeah. Most of the interior designers, they do it, but that is not. I mean, that's virtual reality, but it's not used for training purpose. It is for demonstration of a certain, design or a product. But where are the opportunities for using VR for training?
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah. Good afternoon.
We actually, in Indian Oil Corporation, since it is a hazardous industry, we have tied up with IIT Madras for using their haptics technology for firefighting training, where there will be equipment which is a virtual sort of, it has a scenario where if you wear a glass and use that fire extinguisher specifically made, it will give you different scenarios from where it will ask you different options like which fire extinguisher you will use to escape this scenario and what will be the next step. So that is a sort of virtual reality which is being used for our training, but it is still in the cards and it is yet to be rolled out.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a very interesting point that you have made. Virtual reality is good tool to use training people in those industries where either it is hazardous or there is a destruction involved. So there you can really feel electronically the kind of destruction that happens or the damage that happens without actually getting indulged in the physical destruction or the physical damage. So that's a great use that you have. And similarly, initially in some training related to maybe sophisticated electronic equipment, such as the missiles or the satellite launching and all that. Initially, a lot of piloting is done using the virtual reality before somebody goes on to the physical part of the launching. So it actually puts us into reality, but virtually, which is basically a kind of a simulation. And since you go through the experience, you really get used to it before you physically go on to the use of the physical equipment or physical facilities. So there is an interaction. There is virtually you are looking at it. You follow the instructions. You actually execute the instructions. Therefore, you get used to what is required to be done while you are actually on the job when you are operating that equipment. So the whole experience is it actually literally feels you to all the senses of the training. But then it is pretty expensive to develop. I think if Indian Oil Corporation is doing with IIT Madras and it is taking time, that itself speaks volumes about the complexity involved. And I don't know what is the budget. I'm sure the budget must be pretty huge, and it requires highly sophisticated minds to think, conceive, and then try to look at finding solutions to the problems. Yes, Mr. Michael, you are.
Yeah. How is it different from simulation training?
See, simulation is it's a smaller representation of a larger object, but it is in physical existence. Here it is not in physical existence. Everything is virtual. It is done electronically. You don't see the physical equipment here. Like, Mr. Sairam said, there is some firefighting equipment. You create fire and ask somebody to diffuse fire, put it off by using different kinds of firefighting equipment. So here they don't use any of those physical equipment, but then it is all done virtually by picking up, and the options are created there virtually. But if I have to talk about in the architecture that you have talked about, in most of the offices, when you go there, the beginning entrance, you will have a small miniature representation of the building there. That's a simulated.
Yes.
That is simulation. That's not virtual.
Okay.
But what you have, your architect has shown you, actually that is something which is virtual, which doesn't exist in physical form, and it gives you a feel of what is there in each and every room. He can show you how your roof is, how your kitchen is, how your bedroom is going to look like. But in the simulated miniature of the building, you may not be able to go inside and see. You get a feel of how it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you, Doc. Thanks for the clarity.
Right. Okay. So now I think, as far as we are concerned, we are trainees. And for training, where are the interventions where VR can give? I think one of the things I have been seeing, a lot of people being trained in public speaking. A common question that people keep on asking is, how is that, Mr. Modi is such a powerful orator? How does he speak without any grammatical error or fumbling anywhere in between? How does he actually do this kind of a great oration? Of course, most of us know that he reads from a screen that everybody, I think, teleprompter he has on both the sides of his podium, which he sees. He only can see, or nobody else can see. That's true for every other leader of any other country, probably. But then beyond that, I think people like him also get trained by sophisticated trainers before they get into the public. And same way, a lot of people who are in the public domain get trained. So here is a small YouTube video where you will see how the virtual reality can be useful in training situations where people can be trained to practice to be an orator or a speaker in front of a large audience, or the kind of audience that you choose. In a boardroom, how do you conduct, or how do you conduct a training session, or how do you conduct a large audience meeting? All those things can also be, people can be trained using virtual reality. So just have a quick look at this. I think you will appreciate this, I'm sure. Just have a quick look and then we'll get back to the class.
What's going on, YouTube? Thanks so much for tuning into this video here. So I recently got an Oculus Quest
Are you able to see and hear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a virtual reality headset. And I've been playing around with it, and I'm thinking about launching some more VR content in the near future, perhaps doing a review on the Oculus Quest 2. So let me know again down below what you would like to learn or see next. So in this video, I wanted to cover a demonstration of a tool called Ovation. It's a public speaking training app, believe it or not. So obviously one of the biggest fears in humans in general is the fear of public speaking, the fear of getting in front of an audience and speaking or even doing a presentation that you already have rehearsed and written up. So I think this is a really cool application. Obviously, we're at the cusp and the very early stages of immersive technology, and I'm starting to see a ton of use cases for VR, whether that's in education, in the trades, in technical education, or even helping in areas such as public speaking. So what I'll be using today is my Oculus Quest 2 headset, my gaming PC/laptop, and I got a free trial of Ovation online just by signing up with an email and a password. So without further ado, let's get into it here. We're launching. So looks like we're launching through, it appears to be Steam VR. Looks like I gotta log in one more time, but it's pretty cool though. It looks like I'm on a stage here. Let me just take some time to log in again, which is kind of frustrating, but you know, so far it looks pretty cool. God, I'm such a terrible typer. Oh my God, I'm so bad at typing. Sign in successful. Selecting my language here. My avatar is randomized. Oh my God, they always get these things wrong. I mean, the skin is pretty on point, but the hair, let's keep it like this. That looks about right, I would say. Hello. We're doing like an audio test here. Speeches are delivered in a venue. There are more than a dozen, including classrooms, conference rooms, a boardroom. Let's see, classroom, lecture hall, school auditorium, dang, large theater, courtroom. Wow, that's pretty cool. Let's pretend I'm a teacher here and we'll continue. Let's go through the tutorial here together. Whoa, this is really cool. Oh. Hello, looks like we're just calibrating a couple of things here. Arm length. How would you survive a zombie apocalypse? Oh, it looks like we're practicing. Whoa, this is very interesting here. Hello, students. Thanks for, wow, this is like very realistic here. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk here. Hey, get off your phone right now. Students, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the value of virtual reality. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm a great public speaker here. Oh, so it looks like it crashed on me a little bit, but I'm going to see if I can step it up a little bit and try some of like the larger conference rooms. I think that's probably like the sickest part, I would say. What's cool that I found here, cool little features, I can actually pick up things. So I got a little note card here. Remember to breathe, smile, be yourself. You got this. I can also drop it. I can pick up so much. You wish you knew. That's a little quicker. That's pretty cool. I want to like step it up a lot. So let's see if we could do like a large theater that's bright. Whoa. I'm really scared now. So what's cool is we have like a little prompt here. Wow, this is insane. This literally feels like I'm on a stage right now. I feel kind of scared here. Is torture an effective way to gain information? Explain your answer. I'm sure there's a better prompt here. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk here. Is torture an effective way to gain information? Well, we must first ask ourselves here, why are we getting information? What kind of information can we get? And is torture the most ethical way to gather it? See, we have social media as a tool, as a researching tool that allows us to find most of the stuff that you're probably already looking for without you even having to talk to someone. And so if we think that torturing and physically harming another human is a better alternative, it's 2022, folks. Welcome to my TED Talk. Nice. Looks like I got a grade here. I can review it. Can I play it? Hey, like there I am. Can I do another venue here? Let's go backstage. Yeah, we're going backstage now. There's a lot of different venues here. So obviously like the theater ones can range by people, legal. So a courtroom, that's pretty cool. I think that's definitely valuable before, like anyone who's training to be a lawyer and stuff like that. I can definitely see that being a really good use case there. Classroom, like, you know, like a professor or teacher in training, maybe definitely some value in these like larger ones. I think, you know, for keynote speakers or something like that. I think it's just good practice. So like if you're doing a hotel comp, like these look pretty damn identical to like what the venues might be. So like really getting that practice there, I think is really cool. Let's see what else is here. Quick prompt, custom, manage, review, share. Let's do one more venue here. About this time, what is it? High rise, lecture hall. Honestly, let's do the courtroom one. Wow. So it looks like we can import text, import slides. So that's cool. So they have like a Google slide. Oh, well, hey, Jerry, what's going on? I'm thinking about audio. So it looks like you can import a lot of the speech items, prompts. I think these are little random arrangements. Oh, cool. So these are like, I could clip like a little Pel mic on me, handheld. So if I had like a laser pointer or marker, I guess having something in your hand, I could probably take this one in this hand. I'll probably have this one. I don't know. I don't know how courtrooms work. Maybe you, sir, I'm defending you. I can adjust male to female ratio. What are they wearing? Business. Apply those changes. Wow, looking dapper, y'all. A lot of customized fields here. Let's see if I can do another practice one here, Your Honor. I am delighted to be here, and I'm particularly, Your Honor, the defendant here is a human. He's a human because he has a heart that beats like yours and bleeds like all of us here. When this man was caught by the highway patrol going 80 miles per hour, it was to meet the duty that he had to tend to a sick and ill son here. And it is my responsibility, I appointed the governor of the state of California, that you let this man free. Thank you, Your Honor. And I got a 66. Are you kidding me? I think that's enough. I hope you enjoyed this brief walkthrough and use case for Ovation. Again, it's a public speaking app. There is a paid version of this, but there's also a free trial that you can sign up. Again, immersive technology is still so new.
Okay, I think that gives you a kind of a feel where the virtual reality can be used by the trainers. Any questions?
No, sir. I think he has been able to let into us a lot of details about some minute particles that he has been working on, the minute details.
Yeah,
It was overall good understanding.
right. And using this kind of a software, you can create the number of audience you want to show to your the trainee who is undergoing this training course, number of males, females, age distribution. All these things can be manipulated in the software, and the trainee really gets confident. Once he gets confident on this, then he can actually go live and start becoming a public speaker, and that's the benefit of that.
Even, sir, this thing needs to be practiced maybe, I think, 4 or 5 times before actually going to a bigger crowd.
Absolutely. One has to try it out. You see, how did we try? How did we get trained? We were typically told you go and stand in front of a mirror and start practicing it, right? Then you go and practice in front of your family members or some friends. But then all those things will not give you the feel of actually facing the audience. So here you really can face the audience in large numbers. So your mind gets trained to deal with such kind of large audience. And then when you really go and practice and give a public speech with huge number of people present there, you don't feel uncomfortable even for the first time because you're already used to it. Your mind is tuned to that, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
It is like, playing the final cricket match in the presence of some 1 lakh audience, spectators, where there's so much of a noise, so much of a light, so much of tension, all that, and still you have to play for the country, right? Likewise, I think in a situation where there's so much of a noise, so many people, maybe possibly so many questions, and maybe sometimes you are afraid because there are some specialists in the audience, and you think that you are facing somebody who are tough audience, right? I know I'm remembering an instance when I went to the University of Hyderabad here. for a seminar by Jagdish Sheth. I don't know how many of you are aware. Jagdish Sheth is a global marketing guru. And he was delivering a lecture in the University of Hyderabad in an auditorium with some 500 people or so. So I was also curious to attend, and I went there. And the first remark that he made was, Jagdish Sheth, I am very nervous today to deliver this talk. You know the reason for nervousness? He said, there is Professor C.R. Rao who is sitting in front of in front of me in the audience, and I feel nervous to speak in his presence. So a global guru who would have given thousands of lectures across the world to different cultures, continents, nationalities. So he suddenly expressed this. I think it was spontaneous and genuine, because he found somebody who is a sort of a global guru on statistics being a part of the audience, and he was not very comfortable to have him there. So it can happen even with so much of a training, so much of practice for years together, decades of experience can also make you feel sometimes delicate to speak in front of specific audience. But training like this, trainers like us can certainly use technology to train our trainees to be better speakers. All that I wanted to impress upon you is there are tools and techniques today which are not very expensive. Today, I think virtual reality is not a very expensive technology, and that can be used by the training departments, both within the company or by the individual trainees. But the problem with virtual reality is, it creates some kind of a simulator sickness. And if you continue to use it for long hours, it can create some kind of health issues. So therefore, one has to be very careful. And that is one reason why the virtual reality has not become very, very popular. It can create vertigo problems. It has created vertigo problems for those who are extensively using it, and therefore there is a caution before we start using VR extensively. Development takes long time. It requires a lot of investment, and then it also requires a lot of testing prior to launching the product. Pilot testing requires a lot of rehearsals of that. And then before you launch it, several bugs have to be cleared, and then only you can launch it. So one has to be a bit cautious, but it is picking up and may become more and more standardized and more affordable than all of us can use in our training departments. So that completes the virtual reality. Then we are moving on to electronic training and delivery system. How does this electronic training actually work? I mean, how is this going to be delivered to the trainee? First of all, you have any training requires first the subject matter experts. The subject matter experts are the ones who develop the content for the training program. So first you must have your training objectives, identify the right people, the subject matter experts, and they are the ones who will provide the knowledge base or the subject base, and then they will author the material. And in the case of the electronic training, you must use the right kind of authoring tools, and then right kind of tools for delivering the content. Now, once you have the content ready, you can do it in two ways. Either you can go through the LMS route, or you can directly deliver it using the delivery system. What are the delivery systems? The delivery systems are, if you are in a remote location, you have to use an internet for delivering the training content that has been developed by the SMEs. But alternatively, if you are in a position to supply some CD-ROMs or some, you store the files in a server and people can make use of them, that can also be done directly. If you want to deliver the training content through some portable devices, iPods, mobile telephones and all that, you can use that also. So whichever the way the technology is available, either you use through portable devices or deliver it through internet or intranet. If your company is located and only internet facilities provided for the training department, or you can use it your laptop and use it anywhere, wherever you are, or use a a desktop computer and use only through your LAN. So there are multiple ways the training content can be delivered. Alternatively, one can also use the learning management system, and where the entire content will be delivered to the trainee through the LMS. By doing it through the LMS, what are the advantages? You have some certain advantages by operating through the learning management system, where you can look at how do you manage your trainees, how are their competencies being managed, how is their knowledge going to be managed, then what kind of certification criteria that you have, whether they are able to meet the compliances required for that. If required, you can provide some mentoring services if somebody is unable to crack beyond a point. Then if there are questions, there can be synchronous or asynchronous chat that can be arranged, where the doubts can get clarified among the trainees or between the trainee and the instructor. And you can leave a thread of discussion as an instructor, or people who are participating in this training can also leave certain threads of discussion, and then discussion can continue with the different people posting their own viewpoints. And then if you want to conduct a video conferencing through LMS, even that can be enabled. So LMS actually enables you a better level of control, better tracking of the trainees, how much of time is used. I mean, it gives you some analytics in terms of what is the effort put in by each one, how much is the time they are spent with each PowerPoint presentation or some learning content, how much material has been downloaded, and you can use some quizzes in between. So various ways of interfacing with the trainee is possible using the LMS. So you can deliver the electronic training through the LMS, which offers you certain facilities, or without the LMS also you can use, because LMS is again a pretty expensive proposition, not everybody can afford, and you cannot have your own LMS. You have to buy somebody's, or you have to have some collaboration or the agreement with some external agency which will allow you to use their system. So all these are all commercially should be viable for a company, and hence many people who cannot afford the use of LMS use a direct delivery method. Now, when we talk about using of LMS, you must also see training. If you are developing training content, and that is your area of business, you must have some standards for the development of the content. So there we have certain standards which are termed as shareable content object reference model, SCORM, which gives you some standardization across different platforms, so that irrespective of the LMS, your content can be used by the trainees, and you can leverage your content for various training purposes. Then what goes into the development of electronic training? I'm sure you have gone through the course on instructional design, and that primarily deals with the development of training programs which are in the traditional format. But in the electronic training, you also need to know what goes into the design and development of the training content. And the first thing is the learning principles that are used, the learning theories and the learning principles that you use in the traditional training program design and development are also applicable here in the electronic training. Now, what are those principles which you use there? Basically, you want to gain the attention of the trainee or the learner. You want to demonstrate what is the goal of the training program, stimulate recall of the prior knowledge. Now, what they call in every training program, whether it is physical or virtual, you must link up, because that is the way we are wired to store the content in our mind. So you have to go back to the previous session or the previous knowledge sharing and then stimulate the prior knowledge, so that the current knowledge can be tagged on to that same storage in your brain. Then keep the trainee motivated, present the material in an interesting way, guide the learning of so that the trainee can keep on trying to understand and put it in pockets of memory which are easily retrievable. Then whenever you ask, in between you must keep asking certain questions, certain quizzes so that there is a performance that can be elicited from the trainee, provide feedback if there is a mistake by the trainee, and make an assessment and give feedback as to where the trainee stands, and enhance the retention and the transfer training. These principles, which are used in traditional training methods, also should be used and effectively in the electronic training. So you must have a goal. The advantage in developing electronic training is you can keep the goal on the screen all the time in one corner, which will keep on reinforcing to the trainee that this is where this training is going to lead me to. The interesting electronic training modules have interaction between the trainee and trainer. It will not be a monologue from the machine. It will also have some kind of an interaction, and the interaction will help the trainee to keep himself or herself motivated. And for the instructor, the electronic training can keep on making an assessment and give feedback as to where the trainees are going wrong, so that you can either correct the training content or improve the training method, or give those required inputs to those customized students where they are making certain errors. It also gives, the electronic training can give you very, very highly individualized training. Now we have discussed the content is the same, but when there are 10 people who are logged on to a training program in intelligent tutoring system, and each one is going through, what each one sees on his screen could be very, very different from in the training context, which is basically the training is customized. The system's algorithms will ensure that the trainee is assessed and provided only that content that will be well received by the trainee. So this kind of customization can be easily accomplished in a well-designed electronic training model, and that will help the trainee to be more effective in his learning. So careful attention to ITS during the development of ET in order to allow the appropriate branching, looping back, and skipping ahead that will meet the individual training needs. That means the goal of the training is the same, but the path that they will navigate during reaching that goal will be different for different people. Maybe some people will reach faster, some people reach later, and each one will have different way of it. It can be customized to the learning style of the trainee. So if TNA indicates that this training needs assessment indicates that individuation is critical aspect of the training, more traditional methods should be used rather than electronic training. This is a very important caution. If the training needs assessment report says it requires individual attention, it is then better to go for an instructor-led synchronous training rather than using the electronic method of training. Now, matching delivery with the purpose of the training is very important, both in traditional training as well as in electronic training. See, the overall purpose of the training must be determined before training can be designed and developed. That is basic principle of designing any training program. The acquisition of declarative and procedural knowledge. I think we have already discussed about the definition of these two. Declarative and procedural knowledge, more of knowledge. This is more of knowledge content, and that can be effectively driven through electronic training, because it's a knowledge component. You can do a lot of interfacing with the quizzes, short answer questions, even other forms of interaction during the electronic mode of training. And this is direct knowledge based, and hence this can be very, very effective. But when it comes to strategic knowledge, where you need to have very, very unique application of what you know, depending on the context, this electronic training may not be very, very effective. So where there is some amount of creative knowledge required or a strategic knowledge required, the electronic training may not be effective. One has to be a bit careful about that. And if you want to use electronic training for skill development, then you must be it is effective, provided it is well designed, and number two, it has the ability to evaluate the trainees critically on the system itself. Now, for example, if your training module is on, let us say, use of spreadsheets, use of macros, those kinds of things can be very effectively and efficiently evaluated by electronic training methods compared to other modules. For example, if you are to train somebody and evaluate a person on, let us say, conflict resolution or persuasive skills of a person, it's pretty difficult to make an evaluation of a student or a trainee using electronic training method, but there an in-person face-to-face training may be more effective than electronic training. But a spreadsheet training can be much more effective in the electronic training because that can be easily evaluated because it has the programming can be very effectively designed there, whereas in persuasive skills that may not be possible. Keep focus on learning and not the process. I mean, that is very important. The training modules that you're designing using electronic methods should be simple, appealing but simple, and easy to navigate. Don't create too many links after links, too complex screens for people to navigate. The objective should be not to showcase how difficult you can actually design a training program using electronic methods. The objective should be how effectively you can communicate the content of the knowledge of the training to the trainee. So that is what is very, very important. You must always focus on the simplicity and effectiveness of communication and the effectiveness of learning or the transfer of knowledge, rather than going for some fancy features which will confuse the trainee. Okay, how do you convert the traditional training programs to electronic training method? Now, as more and more technology savvy professionals are coming in, as a more the technology becomes affordable, I'm sure all of us will like to go for adopting the technology related tools and techniques. So what has to be done if your organization has been traditionally delivering training in the training center, and you have taken a strategic decision to move on to the electronic training? The first thing you must do is look at, don't take it on a piecemeal basis. Don't do one bit today and do later on another bit. Take the whole training programs, look at from a holistic point of view, make an analysis of what is the curriculum for each training program or training module, and assess whether there are any overlaps between one program to the other program, and then prepare a comprehensive document in terms of how much can be standardized and leveraged for different programs. See, electronic training is an expensive proposition. It takes time, and therefore you cannot go in piecemeal and keep on wasting a lot of resources. You must make use of some part of the curriculum which can be used for multiple programs. That requires you to assess the overlap in various programs, and then put that together and conceive a set of modules which can be used multiple times in multiple programs. And then you also have to look at what kind of, in the instructor-led face-to-face training, if a student has an issue or a trainee has an issue, he can interact with the instructor and then get certain things clarified. It may not be always possible in an electronic training method, and therefore one has to be very, very careful in terms of understanding what is the prior knowledge or a prerequisite knowledge a trainee should have before pursuing a particular training module in the electronic mode. If there is a need for a prior knowledge of certain training, the trainee should be told to first go through that kind of content or a module before he gets into the routine training requirements. And only after completing the prior knowledge or the prerequisite requirements satisfactorily and after being assessed that he or she is qualified in that, the rest of the training program should be allowed for such trainees. And that's a very, very important point as far as the conversion is concerned. So it requires a lot of reviews, a lot of understanding, redesigning, minimizing the cost, standardizing the components so that they can be multiple times used. All these things are essential in the online training development or electronic training development. Okay, so that completes the electronic training chapter. If you have any questions, we can interact before I go on to the next slide. Any question?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a part of our syllabus, but just an observation. Sir, when we are providing any online training, or I'm teaching in a college, so I've observed one thing. There are certain institutes which capture it on Zoom, and then they utilize the same training that we have provided, and they don't. They might discontinue, or they might use it for other classes and not give any fees to the trainer. So I'm talking about the ethical part of training, e-training especially. I feel that it is disadvantageous if there is no uh, legal or a lawful method of safeguarding the trainer.
I agree with you. I think still we do not, the system has not matured to that level where we have put some safeguards for protecting the interests of the trainer and the copyrights of what you generate as a trainer when you are online. You know, people can, even without our permission, people can record that. They can use it in multiple purposes. Some people can run their own programs also. I mean, all these things are possible. At the moment, I think it's very difficult. I know we are a society which is not very strong in terms of ethical values and law enforcement. We are vulnerable for those kinds of risks. But let's hope that, you know, as we move forward, as the training industry becomes more mature, things will improve and we are all well protected. I think ISTD as a national body has that responsibility, I think, to interface with the government and ask for some kind of a regulation.
Absolutely, sir. And this is also with regards to LMS, because I know about a few institutes which have their own LMS. They would ask us to come to the studio, record the session, and once the session is recorded, they say that we can use it for multiple classes and they can use it for many years together. So you
Yes.
get your fees for that particular session's recording, but the same recording is used for like let's say 3 years. But that again becomes a very unethical aspect, because the original content, the examples, the instructional material has been drafted by the trainer very painstakingly.
Very, very, very true. Very, very true. You get paid for only one session, but then they will use it for 300 sessions, and then you know you are nowhere in that. I agree with you.
So would you
It's-
still propagate about e-training and LMS, sir?
No. I think e-training and LMS will be extensively used as we move forward. At the moment, the problem is, I think the bandwidth is not sufficient. For example, we are in Hyderabad, we are a large organization, all that is fine. But the size of the organization is so large that for us, it is difficult to implement it, because at a time, so many students get in, the bandwidth is not sufficient. So as the country moves to 4G to 5G to 6G, and more bandwidth is available for us, and it is affordable, a lot of us will go in for training. In fact, a couple of days ago, somebody was talking to me, talking in a meeting, that 30 years from now or so, the universities as we see will disappear. You know, today university means some 200 acres, 300 acres of land, multiple departments, multiple buildings. Some of them are really, you know, impressive buildings with a lot of landscape, but all that will go. So universities will be virtual universities. That is what the government of India in the national education policy has also been propagating. There will be more of digital universities. Most of the content will be digital. Now, if that happens with very poor copyright laws or the intellectual property rights protection, things will not work. I think all these protections will come. Like, today, for example, Harvard Business School keeps selling the case studies across the globe, and each case study is priced, and there are agreements where the institutions have to lawfully and rightfully pay to the Harvard Business School. You cannot really bluff them. So there are some safeguards which they have built into their system for selling the case studies and the usage by the users. Similarly, as we move forward, I think yours and mine, the lectures or the content that we deliver to various institutions will also be not only recorded, you will also get a right information as to how many times it has been reused, and for each reuse what is the cost of it. Everything will be given to us. I think that system will evolve very soon. There will
Sir,
be
just to
Probably
add,
that regulation will come about 2 decades later.
I don't think so, ma'am. I think it is going to be faster than that. See, for example, today you write a book. Let us say you write a book and you have got a fixed royalty plus a variable royalty, which is paid based on the number of sales of the books. You really do not know how many books have been sold by the publisher, but then you trust them, and then they'll keep making you the payment of the royalty for the number of books sold based on the number
Very
of copies.
true. Very
Right.
true, sir.
Right. So similarly, certain systems will evolve where the electronic content delivered by the teachers or the trainers will be reused by the organizations, and there will be some agreements, and it will be all digitally used. Therefore, what is the whatever they can access the information in terms of reuse, probably you also may have the accessibility to their reuse statistics, and you can be paid based on the number of reuses, certain amount of fee or royalty for your effort. So these things will come. I think it's just a matter of time. It may not take another 20 years. I guess it may be another 3 to 4 years. So no, the government of India is very, very vociferous and very aggressively promoting the digital universities and the delivery of digital content. No, they are opening up more and more of online courses these days, promoting online education. So the legal requirements will be soon, coming into existence.
sir, can we add a scroll down when you are actually recording something? This is only for official purpose, and it is a copyright of XYZ person. Then can that scroll down help, or still?
No, it might help. For example, see, I have the access to, let us say, Harvard Business School cases. When I download a case, it says Professor Bhaskara has permission to use it for his classroom purpose. But then if I use it unethically, so I send it to you, unless somebody goes and reports to Harvard Business, they won't know that.
No, sir, I'm talking about this. What I think somebody was saying, the issue that this video which is being recorded for one time, it is again used as multiple events. So if there is a recording which clearly there is understanding between the trainer and the person who is going to use this recording, there should be a scroll down that should come that this is only for one time use, which was been recorded for so and so date, and it cannot be used for multiple times. Can that be worked out as a confidential agreement with two people?
Provided we want to follow some ethics. But what I am saying is, if it is a part of an LMS system, and then every time it is used by the institution, and the number of students are are recorded there, so you also should get an intimation, which cannot be manipulated because it's done electronically. How many times it has been reused and how many students have been each part of that use. If you have it, and there's an agreement between you and that institution, what is the royalty to be paid to you, it should automatically come to you. That is what I'm saying. So it must be a foolproof method rather than just assuming that somebody is ethical and they will do. I think maybe 10% of the people, 50% of the people will be ethical, but 85% of the people will not be ethical. At least in our country, we know we are not so much ethical, and all of us are aware of it. It has to be built into the system, and the system should give you very, very objective data, and each one of us should be, getting what is due to us. That's it.
I'll Preeti Kaushik
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
sir. Once
yeah,
again,
yeah.
sir, I wanted to give a few examples out here. So when I have taught my students, there are a few portals which allow them to download PowerPoint presentations and other study material, provided they upload something.
Correct.
So what these students are doing without even questioning. So when I give them reference material, I see my material being uploaded on those portals. Something which I have studied, I have given examples. I mean, whatever definitions are there, they are quoted ad verbatim. But other examples and explanation, that is all from me, and my name is also mentioned there.
I know.
Nobody can stop the student, so there is nothing out there. And plus something that Jigar said, Zoom and other LMS systems like Moodle, they don't allow you to have this disclaimer mentioned anywhere. So I think it depends more on the organization through which you are going for training. Only
Yes.
they can provide protection. An individual trainer cannot go for protection or copyrights for their training material.
Absolutely, I agree. The kind of experience that you have shared, I also have the same experience.
Oh my God.
I suddenly found my material somewhere in those sites, and I said I never uploaded this material, but then somebody has done it. So, and you can only laugh at it and leave it because you cannot have any heartburn with that. But these things are, at the moment, I think this is too much of a disorganized way of running these websites and the LMS systems. I think some kind of order has to come in, particularly as I feel each lecture that you deliver, you put in so much of effort, and that effort is not for one time. Sometimes it may be for future. You are investing your time today, and that has to be specified. The organization has to honor its commitments and compensate you for their multiple use, for its multiple use. So let's see how these things can be effectively handled. But certainly organizations like ISTD, apart from conducting training programs and events and conferences, they also have to interface with the government and the concerned ministries and promote certain amount of legal enforcement and compliances.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I second that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. So let's see. I think we will also keep highlighting these issues to the ISTD headquarters, and then let's see if somebody can really work on them. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir, that would help.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I think that's a very important thing. So don't think you're the lone person in getting those surprises online. Sometimes we also have that, but then we just don't care about it. One good thing about knowledge today is it's changing very fast. So if somebody wants to keep on reusing it, it's very difficult. So every time you deliver something, a lecture or a session or a training module on a particular topic, I think between your last session to this session, there is some development, and therefore you are changing your training content. So the use of old training content makes it obsolete. So to that extent, you can feel happy that it cannot be used for long.
Absolutely, sir. And the example that I had shared in that very presentation was, while I was talking about marketing, I said unconventional products. For example, paper, poo-poo paper, which is made out of animal excreta. That was the example that I had quoted, which was highly unconventional, and I'm pretty sure nobody would have replicated it. And coffee beans, which have been extracted from, so kopi luwak, which is extracted from civet cat's excreta. So again, both examples from excreta.
Right.
And that got replicated. I said, I'm pretty sure this is not by anyone else. Then I found my name mentioned in the PPT. So in the description, I found my name.
So
I was really taken aback.
Instead of that, you feel elated that you're being popularized by somebody else without any cost.
So some students have started their own classes also, and the same material is being used there. They don't even edit the professor's name, so they continue with it.
Madam, I will tell you, there are some internal documents that I prepared in my organization. Some of my colleagues who have left the organization, taken those materials out and
That's a very
and
painful and recurring issue for me as well, sir.
no, they
the-
published books. They published books with their
Oh my God.
you'll
Oh
be
my God.
surprised to hear that they published books with their names as authors, and they have no acknowledgement of either me or the organization anywhere in the book. Okay, so this is, I mean, this is a societal issue. You know, in our society, ethics is not given such an important place, unfortunately. You know, so we have to
Very true, sir. Very true.
live with
I
that.
can understand your pain, sir. It's a high level, higher order pain now.
I know. So no, I have stopped all that pains. Now I keep laughing at them and say, okay, if you don't have originality, you have to do that. If you have originality, you don't look at those things. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. Then anything else? Okay. I think one topic I missed out was the flipped classroom. How many of you use flipped classroom? Do you practice?
I do.
You do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can you explain us, what is flipped classroom and how do you practice that?
Sometimes as a form of punishment and sometimes as a form of creativity.
Okay. Why do you say form of punishment?
Because there are a few students who are highly active. Probably a lot of bonvita that they've had.
Okay. Hyperactive.
Very hyperactive, sir. So they would become restless. Very soon they'll become restless.
Okay.
So in order to engage these students and allow the remaining class to continue with the momentum, I asked them the next concept will be explained by. So I will explain half the concept and I would ask them to share examples on similar lines.
Okay. But what?
Surprisingly, they yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Surprisingly, these students are quite active on that front as well. So even if they get it wrong the first time, they would still continue.
Okay. But how do you explain flipped classroom? What is flipped classroom?
Uh, uh, Allowing the students to learn through activities and challenges which require some higher order of thinking, sir. That is a flipped classroom. So within the class or outside the class, for example, for a few students to whom I was teaching integrated marketing communication, I said, create a task and capture it live. Go to the canteen, put up that poster and capture how many people are looking at it, how many people are inquiring about it, and other things. So they actually went there and they conducted that activity. And
Okay.
they had to capture everything discreetly. So it was exciting for those students as well.
Okay. How many of you think whatever Preeti ji said is the flipped classroom? Do you have a different perspective or do you all agree with her?
We definitely agree with her. So what we do in flipped classroom is we provide them the material pre-hand first, individually at their own home. They read it, they understand it. Thereby, when they are in the class or in training sessions, in the presence of the facilitator, they really have a better understanding. The trainer acts as a facilitator, thereby others discuss, brainstorm, and thereby, the group is able to consolidate to one particular thing, thereby the learning takes place. तो यहाँ पे फैसिलिटेटर का रोल सिर्फ इतना है कि वो पूरे डिस्कशन को एक एंकर करना एंड कम टुवर्ड्स कंक्लूजन व्हिच लेड्स टू द लर्निंग.
Okay. So what are you flipping actually? What is the flipping that is taking place?
I think we are giving that responsibility to the students to become their own accountable for the learning.
It's like turning the table, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
So how are you turning the tables? Tell us, no?
Giving them the spotlight. So they are learning through their own means. So they are the facilitator and they are the learner. They are giving, they are receiving. We are only creating an atmosphere for them.
Okay.
Whether inside or outside the classroom.
Okay, let me ask somebody else. Are you clear about the concept of flipping? Is anyone else ready to answer? What is your understanding of flipping? Now we have two views here, but I just wanted to be very sure, pretty sure that you are able to get the concept of flipping the class. Anyone else want to try? Okay, typically in a classroom, what happens? Typically in our traditional way of learning, the teacher gives the instruction in the classroom and then gives some amount of homework for the students to go and work in their respective places. Right? Now, when you ask the students in this method, the problem is you really do not know how many of them are able to gain out of your lecture. To what extent the lecture is really effective, and it is difficult for you to completely monitor the homework that is being done and shown back to you. Some students may never even show you, and some students may show, but then you may not be able to make an assessment. At the school education level, this is very systematically done, but at a higher education level, we don't give homework the way it is done in the school examples. We give, quite often we may not have time to make an assessment and give feedback. That's a big challenge. And number two, the students are not made accountable to their learning if you keep giving the lecture in the classroom. Their level of involvement and the responsibility is not as much as it should have been. So what the flipped classroom says is just change these two. What is being done in the classroom today, let it be done by the student in his room, in his house, in his hostel. So a class is shifted from the classroom to his home or his hostel room. And then what is done at the home should be done in the class. So that is what you are flipping. The homework is being brought to the classroom and classwork is being shifted to the home or the hostel room. So that is what actually is the flipping of the classroom is. How are you going to do that? Typically, the lecturer or the instructor or the trainer will give, this requires an enormous amount of prior planning. You need to do a lot of curation of your work, and for each class you will have to either record your own classes before and then make them available through either LMS or through server or through some mechanism, or maybe cloud, put them on a cloud and make them accessible to the students, and give them a schedule on which day, which video or which content they should read or listen to. And the students have to go through that content or listen to that particular video that you have suggested. The video could be either of your own or somebody else. And then if you are creative enough, your video also can have, if it is technologically backed up by your institute and you are able to include some question and answer, engaging the students through quizzes and all that, you can even engage in that lecture. And the students are expected to go through that material as specified by you in the schedule, maybe a day before or 2 days before, whatever the time schedule you give. And they must make a note of what their questions are, what they don't understand. First thing is they must try and make an attempt to understand the questions that they have on their own. If they can't, they can then come back and ask you the questions in the classroom. Then you can give some activities in the classroom or some exercise in the classroom which they will do. So what was traditionally done as a homework will be done in the class because the student has already gone through the lecture of yours at home, and therefore you will be able to provide better guidance, better tutoring in the classroom for dealing with the the otherwise homework. So this way, by flipping the classroom, 2 or 3 important things are happening. One, you are able to engage the student outside his classroom. One of the biggest challenges of 21st century with the connectivity and with so much of social media is every student spends about 5 to 7 hours of time in WhatsApp and other social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, and all those kinds of social media engagements. And therefore, the student is not adequately engaged outside the classroom for his academic purposes. So the flipping will actually enable the students' engagement outside the classroom for learning purposes. And number 2, in the class, when they are doing the exercises or activities or whatever the doubts they are getting clarified in the class, that leads to a more inclusive immersion way of learning. The student is engaged. The faculty is only trying to clarify the doubts, whereas the primary learning is taking place outside. And if you have to do a lot of training in terms of examples, exercises, and activities, this gives the teacher more training. In the current format of classroom teaching, traditional teaching, you hardly have any time to do any exercises because you are always running after completing the syllabus. Right? So these are this is the essence of, yeah, yes, ma'am, you have a question or you want to say something.
I want to share one challenge here, sir. Flipped classroom also depends, I mean, the implementation also depends upon the kind of students that you are dealing in. So if you are dealing with students who have a challenge reading, so all the extensive material that you create or provide them with, they will have a challenge even reading through that. Ma'am, we did not have time. I had sessions. I was not well. My mother, father, all relatives were sick together. There's so many challenges that they have together, sir. पूरा खानदान एक साथ बीमार हो जाता है. Sharing just yesterday, I had to go to the institute. I have slip disc recently suffered. I had to go to the institute just to clarify all the students' doubts, and their doubts were about a particular material that I've shared. They said, "Ma'am, we did not understand." So it had numerical problems and solutions stepwise. So I literally typed everything as if I was dictating it to them. I opened the document and they said, "Ma'am, did you use some command? I mean, कुछ dictate करने का कोई app software use किया क्या?" I said, "No, I literally typed everything, but because I was pretty sure that you would miss my voice." They don't even open the document, sir. So higher order thinking वाला जो students है उसके लिए चलेगा, or individuals who are who find it comfortable to read, those who are averse to reading, which is a very common phenomenon right now. They don't want to read. They want you to provide everything on a platter, and that too in a very simplistic language, which is probably close to 5th standards. So for such students, probably flipped classroom, or for high students with high order thinking, for example, the way they do in Harvard Business School. So I had attended one course from Harvard Business School online. I experienced their LMS, and I had the opportunity to attend their online case study session as well. So their professors have already provided the case study, and the case study was very, very extensive. I mean, there were 5 case studies in a matter of 4-5 days, and the discussions were bang on, directly towards the solution. For such students, sir, definitely, because we're paying like close to 2 lakh rupees, so we'll be dead serious. But for the other kind of students, I don't think so. Flipped classroom is a very high order training method, is what I wanted to share from my experience. Thank you, sir, for allowing me to speak.
No, very, very interesting. I know many of us will share similar kind of experiences, but I think it is also something to do with the culture. Our culture is such that we have always been used to this face-to-face instruction, classroom teaching, pampering of the student. These are all the things which are cultural in our context. So these things will take time. I think our frustrations of today will not be frustrations tomorrow. It will take time. It will get corrected, because if you remember, the amount of study today the student has to do in each semester is far higher than what it used to be some 20 years ago in whichever the course you take, whichever the program you take. With so much of content and so many courses, each teacher will not be able to teach in the class the way it was done in the past. So our approach towards teaching and the students' approach towards learning will change, and they have to change. Otherwise, there is no way that you can complete the syllabus and students will be able to appear for their exams. And hence, flipped classroom is a strategic option for all of us in training program or in the schools and colleges where we teach. And any such change will take time to get implemented. First, the culture of the society. Number two, support from the top management. Many places, the top management may not have the conviction to implement flipped classroom. And number three, I think our technological support today is also not good enough. There may be there should be a time where all our lectures we pre-record and make them available to the students 1 or 2 days before, and insist that they must listen to the lecture before they come into the class, and your class is used only for the purpose of either activities or doubt clarification or some exercises. I think that will happen. It will all take time. I am very optimistic that this transition will happen very, very soon. It might happen in the, as you said, higher order. I'm not really sure whether we can call it as higher order, but some institutions will be more adaptable to that for various reasons, and some institutions will be less adaptable. But eventually,
students are using GPT to give them the gist of an entire page or a paragraph or an entire article. Give the gist because they don't want to read. That is the reality of today's students. I've shared this situation with my colleagues from different universities, and they've shared their painful stories with me. In one such experience, one of them shared a report. They said the report mein likha hua hai. The first paragraph is talking about the second. I mean, the students did not even edit that part. Direct copy paste from GPT. That is de-evolution of where you are feeling optimistic. I'm actually observing the other way around.
No. I
have my reservations, sir.
No, let me be very open. I have similar experience with some students. Definitely, yes. Right. I am also teaching in a university. The student behavior is same everywhere. The same technology
Yes,
people use. Forget about the students. Even teacher behavior is similar. Some teachers are also doing it. These days, the teachers are no exception. But then I think these things will change with the time, and there will be more and more controls. We'll have to just wait and see. Yes, Mr. Nandan Verma.
Good evening to you, sir. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Thank you. I'm doing fine. How about you?
Right, sir. Good, sir. So just to give you some little brief, sir, I was also involved with an university recently. And what I've seen that students are spending more than 12 to 13 hours in a day.
Really?
They are so much in stress. And then again, the subject which is introduced by the upper management or by the dean or by someone else, they don't, see that kind of benchmark. They don't see the people who have introduced those subjects are good enough even to do that. So the teachers are also not, in the same platform. So once you set a benchmark, you probably need to set a standard for the teachers as well.
Correct.
They are not delivering on those lines, but we expect students to be good at on those subjects or in these subjects. And then same time, they also have a lot of challenges, a lot of subjects to cover. So what I saw was there were 3 streams: BTech, B Pharma, and MBA. So the college was more interested towards BTech students, right? And then companies, placement, all people are coming in for these students more. And pharma students felt that they are being, neglected. And then on the same time, the kind of efforts they are putting, there are too much of things which is going on in the student's head as well. So the expectation from a student is much higher. What the time of, the time span they are spending in college is 12 hours. They come 7 o'clock in the morning, they reach their home 7 in the evening. A lot of things they need to do as well. So this change has to come from the top. We expect student to make the change. Probably this change has to come from the upper management as well. So the dean is not that good. He can't understand what kind of subjects we are teaching or what kind of training that we are giving to the student. At least he should also understand, or the teachers or the professors, they are also not good enough to understand what is happening. So how can we expect the change only can come from students? Yes, students are also, the span of attention is very less. What I see is the span of attention for a student is very less. They are not that much, a part or that much involved in the subject. However, expecting only from the student is something I feel that it would be, giving a too much stress on them as well. They are spending 6 to 8 lakhs for 3 years, 4 years, and then their family tells them that we are spending that much money on you. What kind of outcome you are giving to us? So then this is something very competitive kind of feeling which has been given to these students. Similarly, it is both ways. What I feel that probably we also need to bring it down a bit for them. It's already too much. They are already too much stressed. And then again, the upper management or the people who are sitting on the top, dean, directors, they need to understand that the responsibility doesn't only lies with the student, but with us as well.
True, very true. That's what I told Preeti ji. It is just not the students. I think the faculty and the leadership of the university or the corporation. Everybody has to change is a collective effort of everyone. It is not only from the bottommost link in the chain. It has to come from everywhere. And unfortunately, in India, for us, most of these problems we do not do much of research and investigation why these things happen and how do we correct them. We don't do much of research, and therefore we keep having these gaps, and we only keep citing some foreign research, foreign papers and all that, which may not be very valid in our context. So a lot more proactive actions are required. First, I think it is the buy-in from the leadership of the university or the corporate that we talked about. Number two, the instructors or the teachers have to also demonstrate that what is being preached is also being practiced. And then you can do a lot of control at the trainer level or the trainee level or the student level. Certainly,
Right.
yes, I agree with you.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I since I practice all these things, I don't have so much of trouble that Preeti ji is talking about. I'm very, very clear about what I want to accomplish in my pursuits. Therefore, I don't have much of a conflict. I go very seamless. That's my experience. Yeah.
I feel, sir, the students are having it very easy, simply because of, I'll just give you one example, and it'll probably, you guys can probably understand it better that way. If I give the students an example, and I've done this test, which is absolutely nowhere directly related to the subject, whatever subject I might be teaching. So the first session I go there, I ask them, there are 3 organizations in a market, in one industry, and these are the top 3 organizations. The total market share comes to around 47%. I'll give them some odd figures, 1, 2, 3, and the total comes to 47%. I said, draw a pie chart. Sir, around 90% of the class ends up dividing the entire pie into 3 pieces. The total comes to 47%. I said, what about when you say percent, uska kya hai? So it's not at that particular stage. That filtration or that conditioning has to happen right from the beginning. And there have to be filters to allow students to understand, if you want to go for a higher order of learning, you need to reach that stage in all different aspects, not just aptitude, but also other phases. If you don't have that base, you should probably not have access to that level of education. That is my entire point of contention.
Certainly, yes.
While we are allowing everybody to have access to everything, I think we are diluting the original content. Because of that, a lot of things. Now, if in at a post graduation stage, if you have to teach them how to create a pie chart, I think might as well go back to school.
I
With
know.
this example, I
I
rest
know.
my
No,
case, sir. That free access and going for online and allowing for, there are so many disadvantages that you're diluting the entire system for which Indian education was known for. You're not supposed to provide access to everybody at the same time. There's a logic behind that, sir. That was my
I think these are problems everywhere, ma'am. I think some solutions will come. All of us have to work together. So for the timing, I think we'll keep them on the back burner because we still have another 15 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. So
Definitely.
I'll just finish this part and then we'll have some interaction about the question paper and all that. So the concept of flipped classroom is that which is traditionally done in class is now done at home, and which is traditionally done at home is now done in the class. So it's a new training method with a training strategy that is evolving. Therefore, in any evolutionary process in the beginning, there will be a lot of pains. I think we are going through the pains. We should still remain optimistic and find some solutions to the problems that we are facing. True, all of us have complaints, but at least some of us can start working on the solutions. Certainly, yes. Trainees are able to return to the class with content and then receive assistance with the homework from the expert in the field, that is the trainer in the classroom. Provides more time for hands-on activities and content inquiry and analysis. Theoretically, it looks very nice, but I think in practice there are issues, and those issues have to be handled. Students definitely take more responsibility for their own learning. Yeah, what you're saying is very right. With so much of social media engagement for each student, how much of time are they really going to spend on this? If you have an LMS, at least you have a track of how many people are spending on your video before coming to the class. You have statistics, and then you probably can question, and then they will get corrected over a period of time. So there are few tips. Quite often we feel that only our content should be studied by the student. Is not necessary today. Through Swayam, any NPTEL and all that, there is so much of content available in the public domain. Probably, we can allow the students to use that content before you develop your own content and your own videos, and then use that as a part of your flipped classroom preparation. Be thoughtful about what parts of your class you decide to flip and when. That is very important. What and when is very important. That requires a lot of careful planning, thinking and planning. If possible, find a partner to create videos with. This is what we are talking about, collaborative teaching. Instead of competing among the faculty, they should collaborate with each other and join hands and create content and deliver the classes and deliver the learning part of it, and address the issue of access early. With all the good talk that we have, still internet connectivity is an issue. Even in big cities, the internet is not all the time available at the same speed, at the same quality, and therefore we have to keep factoring that into our planning process. Find a way to engage students in the videos. The technology backup should be provided by the universities so that you can create some kind of immersive activities for the students in the class. Okay, this is just a comparison of how typically a traditional classroom time planning is, and in a flipped classroom time planning is. Essentially, what you see here is you are freeing a lot of your lecture term time here, and therefore you are able to provide more of assistance to the students in terms of practice or the lab activity or any other activities that you would like to do in the course that you are dealing with. So this is one important challenge that everybody is addressing today is how do you engage the students outside the class is one big challenge, because that has a lot of value in terms of learning, and flipped classroom is one way to engage the students outside, and therefore you are able to optimize your outcomes within the class. I think with that I am done. All the course content I have finished. So we can now look at what possible revision or what questions you have anywhere in all these 10 sessions, and then I will. You have an idea about what kind of a question paper model you will get? Do you have? How many questions, each question, how many marks and all that?
It's a 20 mark. We have to answer from each section 2 answers for 20 marks.
Correct.
Two
So-
sections will come, section A and section B.
Yeah.
Right.
And each section you have 4 questions.
Yes. Out of that, we have to answer 2.
2 questions. So it is almost 50% choice. You have 50% huge choice at a level at which you are answering. This is a phenomenal amount of choice. And therefore, altogether you will answer 2 plus 2 questions from part A and 2 questions from part B. So 4
Yes.
questions you will answer, and 4 questions in 3 hours, which is pretty decent. You are almost having about 35 minutes for each question, assuming that there will be some 5 minutes tea break in between. You're going to be giving the exam online, right? Or is it
That's so
Yes,
what
yes.
we are-
Online,
yes.
online, online.
online?
But
Is
I
it
think we have to go to center, Jigaji, if I'm not mistaken, in our own city. हमें center पे जाना
Everything
पड़ेगा.
will be online.
नहीं, घर पे बैठ के देना है.
But I confirm from the person who is in the last batch, that is 87 or 86 somewhere.
No, we are not supposed to go to any centers. I think I had a discussion with Gurvinder.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
That's
yes,
wonderful.
yes.
You don't
Everything
need
will
to
be
visit
from
any
home.
center. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful then.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I understand. In any case, you please confirm. I understand it's going to be online exam. There will be proctoring.
Okay.
It will be a proctored exam, and
Mhm.
that's a luxury. Sitting at home and writing the exam is a luxury.
Absolutely, that's. So
Those
I
days-
confirm from someone in the batch number 88 or 87, and that's what he mentioned, that he had to go to a center in. I'm right now in Jaipur. So he had to go in one of the center in Jaipur and write the paper, type the paper
So
rather.
yeah, similarly, I confirmed the same thing because I told him that I'm traveling a lot. So he told me that you don't need to visit any centers or anything.
Oh,
You can
great.
do it from your place where you've been staying or however you're traveling. So that's how it is. Probably we can still touch base with them and understand what if that's we can confirm with Govinder once more. But I think that's the case, what he has mentioned to me earlier. And that was last week only.
That's a great relief, Nandan, to hear from you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So same way, the question paper for this course too will have 2 sections, part A and part B, with each section having 20 marks questions of 4, and you will have to answer 2 each from each section. And a question can have sub questions. Officially, they allow up to 5 sub questions for a question, which means in a certain question you can have 5 sub questions of 4 marks each also, or the entire question can be of 20 marks. So any combination is possible. By and large, it covers all the classes. No class will be left out. Every class will have some question or the other. And if it is multiple questions, sub questions under the same section, the same question, they may be from different chapters also. So, I mean, you cannot really say, okay, if I study 50% of the curriculum, what will happen? Will I be able to answer? I think you will find it difficult. 50% choice is fine, but 50% study is not fine. That's what I wanted to tell
Is
you.
there equal distribution of marks for each module or chapter?
So, sorry, can you please come again?
There is equal distribution of marks in the exam, the type of questions from each of the chapters or module.
We can't really say so, but see, for example, we have got 10 chapters, and there will be only 8 questions. So obviously, all the 10 chapters will be covered in some way or the other, but each chapter will not have each section will not have the same weightage. Probably that is a bit difficult, but then the whole syllabus will be covered.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, could you please guide us on the from what perspective should be any answer could be structured?
Meaning?
So suppose there's a flipped classroom पे कोई questions आ जाता है. So introduction, then how it is taken, advantage and disadvantages, and practical application with an example.
Correct.
That's how to
No,
structure answer.
Okay, in terms of the questions, some questions may be straightforward. They're like, just out of the textbook kind of questions. The answer is it is not difficult to find out which is the correct answer for that. So the point I want to convey is, please read the question 2-3 times before you start writing it. Sometimes the objective of the question you may not be able to understand in the first reading, and you might end up writing a wrong answer. Okay. So read the question and try to understand what is the objective, why this examiner is asking this question, and customize your answer to meet the objectives of the question. That is number 1. Number 2, there will be some questions which will be situation based. It may not be a 2 or 3 line question. It could be a 2 or 3 paragraphs which will be there, and you will have to read that, understand what is that the examiner is actually projecting it out there, and he might ask a question in a twisted format. So to find out which is the correct answer itself requires certain application of mind. That is second thing. The third, there might be a case study also. Like we have done a case study, case discussion in the class. Similarly, a case study may be given. If the case study is given, then it will be running into 2-3 pages. So you will have to then your plan time in such a way, look at the whole case question paper. If there is a case study and the case study requires reading maybe once or twice, then you require to provide budget enough time for reading and thinking, analyzing and writing the answer. So that may require you to plan the time in such a way that enough time is given to the case study. Typically what happens is, if you start writing the case study first, you may not have much time to answer the rest of the questions, although you may have the answers available to you and you are known to you. And number two, if you write the answers first and then you want to go to the case study, you may not have enough time to write. The reading itself will take away a lot of time, and finally you may not have much time to answer the case study analysis. So if a case study is given, if I were to be a part of the students today, again I will do effective time budgeting for each question, and then follow that strictly to be able to answer all the questions. Okay. And yeah, I think what you have asked, ma'am, yeah, if they ask about, it may be anything, any question can come like that. Maybe a flipped classroom, it can be demonstrations, it can be lecture method, whatever. Typically what you should all learn is basic concept of that, and its application, and not only the know-how, the do-how part of it, and then the pros and cons of it. And in certain cases, compare and contrast. Compare and contrast discussion method with demonstration method, or lecture with case study method. I mean, people can ask different questions. Compare and contrast these two methods, cognitive methods versus maybe behaviorist methods or things like that. So some key concepts, please understand how do you make a comparison in terms of some criteria, so that you are able to recollect it and answer the questions well. Although the system allows questions like fill in the blanks, true or false, then match the following and all, but at an executive level, I'm not sure whether such questions will be asked. If they are asking such questions, I will not be very pleased about it, because you are supposed to be thinking machines. You're all trainers, you're all experienced people. You must be able to answer more analytical questions. If you have to look at the Bloom's taxonomy, you should get questions from level 4 upwards, not in the bottom 3. So these true or false, things like that, they come under the bottom 3 levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So I am hoping that you will get challenging, interesting, motivating questions from level 4, 5, and 6 of Bloom's taxonomy. At least one from level 6 out of the entire question paper, because that will be a differentiator. People who have studied well and people who have not studied well, there must be a differentiator, and at least one question should be of that standard and level, which only those people who work very hard will be able to answer. Yeah, any other question, any other clarification? I don't know whether I'm able to give you something useful or not.
That really helps, Doctor.
Okay, good, great. Yeah, any other question that you all have? Anything else? So what are the PPTs that I have not shared with you? Last 2-3 PPTs, which I will share today or maximum by tomorrow. And then Gurvinder will circulate them to you in the group. And even after the session is over, if you have any questions anytime, you can always send me a WhatsApp or a mail, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yeah. Any questions? Jigarji?
sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Nice, sir. Thank you for everything.
Okay, great. Anything from Mr. Sairam? Mugdaji, today you have not spoken.
I
Correct.
think
Today just lost with the examination and there's so much happening, but I guess this was so much of a help. Honestly, how I was thinking while you were summing it up is I could just take that exam part of some brains from your brain, from your from you, and I transfer it to my brain so that I can write the exam. That's exactly the feeling that I have.
Okay.
But sir, if you can really help us, if these people can give us some clarity in the group as to how the exams will be operated, because when we call them, not in the first go that the call is answered, but some say it's online, some say it's off. I mean, some clarity would definitely ease the anxiety that we all go through. In case if you can put that point.
Okay, now I will speak to Gurvinder and ask him to send a clarification on the group. Definitely, my understanding has been that it will be online, but then since you all have some questions on that, I will speak to him and ask him to provide you the clarification. Certainly, yes.
Thank you so much, sir. That will really appreciate, and thank you so much from the bottom of the heart. Really enjoyed the sessions, and they have definitely done a huge value addition to, to where we started from.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And anyone else? Today, the normal contributors to the session, some of them are missing today, of course. Sriram is not there. Then Shui Deb, you have not spoken today. You now only contribute. Michael Bird, of course, you have been active today. And what about Babita ma'am? You have any questions? Babita?
Sorry, I could not unmute because there's a lot of noise here. Some work is going on, so I couldn't ask any questions. Not to disturb. I just had a question because I think you told that you can reach out to you for any questions. I don't remember if you have shared the number. So if you could just drop in the chat, I think that would be great.
Okay, I'll put in my number here. No problem.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, that's my number, and it's chat enabled. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Yeah, anybody else? Fine. I think that brings us to the end of this session and to this course. So I had the privilege of opening and the closing. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed your interactions and your classes. You've been great audience, and I've learned a lot of things from you. You have shared so many of your experiences. Thank you and all the best. Hope to see you somewhere sometime in the future. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.